Welcome to Issues with Cartoons, the show that dissects animated adaptations of comics and the source material they are based on. My name is Kyle.
My name is Carl.
And we are here with episode 11 of the 2010 show Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. This is The Panther's Quest, written by Paul Giacopo and directed by Sebastian Montez. The Black Panther episode, Carl.
It is. It's very Black Panther centric. We're revisiting a lot of stuff from the mini episode that introduced Wakanda, and we're kind of catching up with a lot of those plot threads.
Yeah, we've been getting kind of little teases of T'Challa's Black Panther, even going back to the episode you mentioned. Like, we saw him in the Black Panther suit for like a split second at the very end of that episode. He's been kind of lurking in the background leading up to this point.
Yeah.
Kind of watching things from afar. He gets involved finally when he saves Captain America in the Living Legend episode, when he saves him from Zemo.
But he's involved with that fight.
Yeah, and that's kind of the most we see. And of course, that's kind of where we start this episode, is when Cap is watching security footage of that moment.
Of that fight with Zemo.
Yep, when T'Challa saves him from Zemo. And we kind of get thrown into the events of this book. Or this episode. Interesting in that particular scene when Cap is watching security footage and he says, "Can the projectionist make it brighter?" And I only bring that up because I feel like this show very quietly inserts moments like that where you kind of see the discomfort that Cap has being a man out of time, because there's a lot of stuff that he just doesn't even occur to him.
He's seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, it doesn't even occur to him that footage of something wouldn't be displayed by a projectionist in another room somewhere, because that's just unheard of to him. And I don't know, I like it as a character trait that he just, and there's another moment later where just things just make him feel out of place.
You know what continues to impress me? Jan is the comedic relief. I
love her.
And it's so much better. We've had this discussion in previous episodes. She's great as the comedic relief, where it's not so much like the romance between her and Giant Man. It's like she's very much just the sarcastic member of the team. She calls Black Panther a giant cat, which I thought was funny.
So, she to me kind of feels like the heart of the whole thing.
A little bit.
She's the most human, the most personal, the most certainly the most outgoing. But I really like her in this. I'm glad that you bring that up. She is obviously an important Avenger. She's been an Avengers leader for a lot of the history of the book. So she's definitely plays a central role in a lot of the comics. But I do think unique to this show compared to other adaptations, she does take a good part of the spotlight in a great way. Mm-hmm. And as you alluded to, Black Panther shows up. Very timely that they're watching security footage.
Yeah, I have a note in here that it's crazy that they're watching the Black Panther footage and then knock on the door.
Happens a lot.
He just shows up immediately.
It's great. It's almost like he was just waiting for the right moment for them to start talking about him so he could have his like entry line.
He's still spying. He's outside the whole time.
I know, yeah. And then we cut to the intro song, and we see, just like the last couple episodes, Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, and Wasp are the lineup in the intro. And then we cut back to Black Panther versus the Avengers. And for those of you keeping score at home, Hank kind of bumbles it both as Ant-Man and predictably as Giant Man. Giant Man proving to just be one big target that gets taken down by Black Panther.
Oh yeah, Black Panther takes him down very easily.
Immediately.
Something I have in my notes that this is very similar to Black Panther's first appearance in Fantastic Four 52. He appears and he immediately just starts taking on the Avengers, which is what he does when he fights the Fantastic Four.
A lot of this episode feels a lot like the two Fantastic Four issues we covered in episode 5.
Yeah.
A lot of the same plot points, and we'll discuss more of them, but you're right, this does read a lot like, especially, and we're going to talk about Avengers 52 later, which is the first time Black Panther arrives at Avengers Mansion and ends up joining the team in the books. Very different scenario, very different circumstances, very different goals that Black Panther has.
I think it's cool. It's cool though, and it it ties in with some of the earlier appearances of Black Panther.
Absolutely.
Ant-Man recognizes the vibranium and is quick to point it out, and so that's a cool little nod to things that have happened before.
Yeah, and I like when they're having that discussion about vibranium, because essentially Black Panther admits that he's there to kind of assess their abilities, much like he did with the Fantastic Four. He was just kind of getting a measure of them.
Field test.
Because he needs help overthrowing Manape. And a couple of interesting discussions happen in this episode where first they talk about vibranium, like you mentioned, and Hank talks about vibranium very differently than T'Challa does, who talks about it very differently than Tony does, because Hank thinks that vibranium should be available to everyone because there are so many applications that could help humanity. Again, perfectly in character with the Hank that we have in the show. And T'Challa is very protective of it. He says, I don't trust the world with vibranium. And he looks at Iron Man, and Tony admits that he used it to make weapons back when he was a weapons manufacturer. And it's just a really interesting example of how these three men have something so essential like vibranium.
Yeah.
And they come at it from three very distinct points of view.
It gives them all depth.
Yeah,
that they all have their own separate motivations of what they want to do with it. It isn't as simple as, I'm going after the vibranium. I'm not. There's a lot on the line here. There's political interests. There's there's a lot of layers to it, which makes it more interesting.
And we'll get even further, I guess, perspectives on vibranium once we start hearing from Hydra and Claw and Manape. They all have very different ideas about vibranium and what it means. But then we also have this interesting dilemma where Black Panther's describing the situation of Manape overthrowing T'Chaka and becoming the chief of Wakanda. And Captain America says, well, if the people picked Manape, then that's the end of the discussion. And
not realizing the culture.
Not realizing the culture or the implications. And T'Challa's kind of like, well, like the problem isn't the people. The problem is the old ways or their traditions are becoming more important than self-preservation, because Manape is going to end up getting a lot of people killed.
And just some fun facts about Manape.
Tell me.
Kevin Michael Richardson plays him in the show, or his Mightiest Heroes. The character first appeared in Avengers 62 in March 1969 and was created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. John Buscema is notable as the artist who did How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which is one of the best comics drawing tutorial books you could get, probably.
One of the, like, the template for a lot of the ones that were made after.
For sure.
And that creative team will sound familiar in this back half of this episode. Kevin Michael Richardson, I think, is another voice actor. We talked about Troy Baker a few episodes ago.
We did.
As a voice actor who did the Joker.
Yeah.
And I believe Kevin Michael Richardson was he the voice of the Joker in The Batman? Was that Kevin Michael Richardson?
Oh, that's...
Am I conflating him with a different voice actor?
I can't confirm that. I should know that.
He's a very accomplished voice actor. He's done all kinds of stuff. So I'm sure he's done lots of geek culture projects in the past. I've definitely heard the name. I've heard that voice. That voice is very distinct.
And also, Winston Duke portrays Manape in the MCU.
Oh, he was great.
Which, I want to point out how different this version of Manape is from the MCU.
I think you have to.
Because in the MCU, M'Baku is more of like, he's an ally to Black Panther. He does start out as a foe in the first Black Panther film, but he does come around and helps them against Killmonger at the end of the film. So I feel as though if this show was made slightly later, that we might have a totally different characterization of M'Baku in this cartoon.
Really good analysis, really good point. Because that, like, the M'Baku from Act 1 of the Black Panther film, is this M'Baku.
Exactly.
But there is, you know what though? I don't even know if that's fair to say, because I feel like that M'Baku is sounds more justified because he feels like the man-ape culture has kind of been pushed aside, and he's just trying to like assert a claim so that he can like get some recognition and get some, some participation in Wakanda. And in this one, he just kind of seems power hungry, which is maybe more in keeping with the comic adaptation.
He's a villain. He is like 100% a villain in this cartoon, and that's the biggest difference.
Nothing redeeming about him, really.
Yeah.
Kevin Michael Richardson, by the way, was the voice of the Joker in The Batman from 2004.
Yeah, 2004, where Bono from U2 wrote the theme song.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am being serious.
Hey, that's fantastic. Hey.
And he got his time to play with Batman,
I don't have a ton of exposure to Man-Ape as a character. I was aware of him, knew he was, a character who was within the Black Panther Wakanda realm of characters, but didn't have a ton of experience reading him. I don't know how much. I feel like they avoid using the name Man-Ape in a lot of stuff.
Moving forward, they have, certainly. He's M'Baku and a lot of the animated stuff that came later.
Right.
Yeah, he's not Man-Ape.
But we do kind of have this connection between the breakout and the events of this episode. Because one thing I want to kind of track as we move forward, the breakout was this springboard that we've talked about for stories and adventures that these characters will go on. And in the new Avengers, when the same premise was used as a springboard, I feel like they ended up deviating from that mission statement pretty early on in the series because they got distracted with other events like Civil War and Secret Invasion and all this other stuff. And I want to keep track of how much the breakout looms in this series, how much the breakout plays, because in this episode they kind of go on this side quest to Wakanda that takes them away from the events of the breakout.
Oh, for sure. They're not after the villains.
No, but
it just happens that some of those villains are in Wakanda.
Some of those villains are in Wakanda, like the Grim Reaper. Again, Lance Henriksen, who's got maybe the coolest voice on this show, who is trying to make a deal with M'Baku, and Claw is there to kind of facilitate the deal.
Right. Something I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. I noticed that Grim Reaper's skin is green in this show.
Yeah.
It's not in the comic.
No.
So I wanted to bring up the fact, could we imply that Grim Reaper's green skin is from the Hulk's DNA? From when they were harvesting all the...
That's really interesting. I didn't read it that way. I read it as he's kind of zombie-ish.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And maybe we'll find a different answer later. My understanding of the character is that he is in fitting with his name. He's kind of a character who's just flirting with death, and
I see,
and has probably gone under some...
It's tying in with his Grim Reaper archetype.
Yeah, and he maybe has gone through some reanimation process. Maybe that's the implication, which is something that the Williams brothers have a lot in common with. Like, him and Wonder Man just can't stay dead.
They just come back.
Just come back all the time. But Grim Reaper, will cover his first appearance today also. Involved with the Lethal Legion, and I first encountered him in the Busek Perez run in the 90s,
nice,
where he was the facilitator of the Legion of the Unliving, which is a recurring antagonist of Avengers, where it's basically different dead people get brought back to fight the Avengers as either reanimated corpses or as ethereal spirits or whatever. It's a really cool concept.
I do like that idea. It's fun.
That's how Wonder Man kind of stayed in the consciousness of Avengers readers, because he would always show up. Bucky would show up. Different dead villains, like we talked about Heinrich Zemo.
Wait, you said Bucky showed up, so they reanimated Bucky?
In the Legion of the Unliving stories?
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't that kind of confuse...
Wow.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wild, yeah. Captain Marvel would show up, or like in the Busek Perez run, I can list all the characters who were there. I mean, it was Mockingbird, Dr. Druid, it was Hellcat, it was Wonder Man was there, of course, Marvel, Swordsman, Thunderstrike. I mean, they had all these dead Avengers
We're all on this team.
And they were all on this team that were basically there to mess up the living Avengers. And
I like the premise. I haven't personally read that stuff, but it's interesting.
And they never show up in the show. They should. Maybe that's something they would have done later.
Sure.
But it is a cool premise and a cool antagonist, and Grim Reaper fits very neatly into that premise. So that's why I say it could be a reanimation thing.
Yeah, it certainly ties in with that more than, I guess, Hulk mythology.
Yeah. And, I'm not saying it's outside of the realm of possibility, because this was originally pitched as a Hulk show. But also, I just this might be an opportunity, since we're talking about Grim Reaper and his appearance. I like his design in this show infinitely better than anything he's ever worn in the comics, because I've always thought he looked ridiculous.
I agree.
But that's another thing that he and his brother have in common, is awful, god-awful fashion sense.
Awful costumes.
It's just something the Williams brothers have. They die.
Bad outfits, Batman.
Right. Holy bad outfits, Batman. They die all the time, probably because of the outfits they wear, because they have horrible fashion sense. If looks could kill. So anyway,
who's up for invading Wakanda? Says Jan. And we're off. They're in the jet, and they're taking off out of a waterfall.
Yeah, and they explain
cool.
They explain Thor being gone as he's just off in some fantasy land. Interesting that he's kind of written out of this episode.
I thought that was a choice.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's just because he would have wiped the floor with T'Challa, and they didn't have a way for him to not just end that fight immediately. So
maybe the voice actor wasn't available.
Could be that too. I really don't know. Rick Wasserman maybe. But this is another moment after they take off that we kind of get a little Cap being a man out of time moment when he seems disturbed by something, and Hank's like, "Hey, you good? What's going on?" And he says, "In my day, if something flew this high, we didn't call it an airplane. We would call it science fiction." And again, just Cap is uncomfortable in this present day. He's still very new out of the ice.
Yeah.
And I like that moment. I like that setup for him.
I like that it's taken this many episodes for Captain America to adjust. It's good character development.
Yeah, like he's not even adjusted yet. Yeah.
I will say the first time I watched this episode, that scene was a little jarring.
Oh, was it?
In like the pacing sense. Like, I feel like if you're going to have a dramatic moment like that with Cap, where he's like, this is out of science fiction, and he's staring out the window, I needed a few more seconds of Cap looking out the window, looking sad. I wanted it, but I understand this is a kid's cartoon, and we need to cut to the next thing.
Right.
But,
Interesting.
The second time I watched it to take notes, it didn't bother me.
Okay.
But the first time I watched it, maybe I was cranky, but the first time I watched it, I was just kind of like, it stood out.
I'm glad you gave it another chance, but it's interesting that was your first impression. It does remind me of the scene. That moment does remind me of the scene in Endgame when Rocket flies them all into space, and he asks, "Has anyone in here never been to space before?" And Cap and a couple other people raise their hand, and when they take off into space, they fixate on Steve Rogers' eyes, him just kind of this man who's just a boy from Brooklyn flying into space for the first time. It reminded me of that moment, just to kind of keep that in your mind, that this is a man who's not from this time.
It's good character development.
Great. Yep, so they get there, and Iron Man, who this whole time has kind of been dogging on Wakandan technology, and is clearly a little jealous that it's better than his technology. Tony's such a jerk. Anyway, he takes them off on a different course, which gets them attacked, and they crash the Quinjet, and Black Panther decides he's just going to go out on his own and get Man-8. And Cap follows him, and we have this interesting interaction with Cap and Black Panther, who the two characters have always had a kind of connection in the comics. Black Panther shows up in the original Lee Kirby Captain America run a lot. Mm-hmm. There's history with Cap meeting the ancestors of T'Challa. So that pairing has been something that's been around for a while. And they get paired up a lot in this episode. But ultimately, M'Baku is challenged for the throne again.
Yeah, but he sends his henchmen after Black Panther instead of honoring tradition.
Yeah, he's a little wimp. And I'm saying wimp because this is a kids-friendly show. But he kind of wimps out of taking on Black Panther directly, and so he sends the Dora Milaje to fight. And so now we're cutting between kind of three scenes. We're cutting between Black Panther and M'Baku.
Yes.
Ant-Man, Wasp, and Iron Man fighting Wakandan soldiers.
And Claw.
And then Claw.
As well.
Yeah. And
voiced by Mark Hamill.
We get a lot of good Mark Hamill in this
Which
episode.
I absolutely loved. Watching this, he's having fun too.
Perfect accent.
They give him a lot to do in this one.
Yeah,
as compared to the mini episodes which we covered. He's got some great moments and some great lines. I really enjoy him as a character. He has this line where he's like, Hydra, you snakes. That happens later, but I absolutely loved. I wrote it down.
Man,
he's great.
I know that people will always remember him as Luke Skywalker, and they should.
Sure.
But
The Simpsons did.
His voice, yeah, sure. I don't doubt that. The voice acting talent that he has. And the amount
he's got range.
And I know that, like, we'll also, even in that, he'll always be known as the Joker, but he does have range. And it's really impressive. And I feel like this kind of cartoony Eastern European guy is so fun.
I was stoked about it. I was really happy about it.
So before the big Claw moment happens, there was a little scene that I want to just call out. And it's when Ant-Man says, you know what I love about Africa? And he says the Latin name of the African army ants, and then he attacks them with these African army ants. And it's just, you don't think of Ant-Man as having badass lines or badass moments, but he just proves over and over again that he is the Aquaman of DC, and that he is, to the public, a joke, but in practice, very effective.
A few things I wanted to point out is when Black Panther challenges Manape, I really like that skull throne he's on.
Yeah.
He's got like all these skulls behind him. I like the art direction on that. I thought that looked super cool and menacing. And I thought the headpiece on Manape looked like an Alex Toth, like Space Ghost design. I was looking at it. There's kind of like the black at the top with just like the little white eyes. And I don't know if it's because I've been looking at the 60s stuff lately as we go back and revisit Kirby and stuff, but I thought it looked like Alex Toth a bit, the way they draw Manape's headpiece.
And we've mentioned Alex Toth a few times on this show. I would venture to guess that Alex Toth, who did designs on every animated, anything Hanna-Barbera did, in the 60s and 70s. I mean, Super Friends is what I was going to lead to, is he's kind of the blueprint for superheroes and animation in many ways. Sure. I love that that's a connection. I wonder if there's a direct reference to something. Anyway, Manape ends up using some dirty tricks to kind of edge out Black Panther once again, using a little sound thing. But before all that happens, the Reaper knocks Claw into the heart of the vibranium mine, and he undergoes a transformation. Again, calling back to that Fantastic Four issue 53 that we read.
Yes.
Where and we actually see the transformation in this episode. We had not seen. We saw the beginnings of it in the comic, but in here, he becomes sound. He even says, "I am the sound."
Right, and I have here that Claw, Ulysses Claw, first appears in Fantastic Four 53, but as Claw, this sonic monster is 56.
Yeah.
So, and created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Of course. And I think the design in this episode is very different than what the comic version is.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And I really like the kind of kaiju, kind of monster alien looking, sort of multi-armed, morphine version of this.
I like where they went with it, and Mark Hamill, after he transforms, he's like, I can hear you, and
so
like all
creepy.
It's really
so
fun.
good.
And yeah, he becomes huge. He's like the size of this mine, and he just starts wreaking havoc. Hydra's fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm not saying that it's an improvement. I will say that the Claw supervillain costume, little goofy.
It needed a
taste.
retouch. I think they made the right choice.
I do too.
Like making it a redesign, and it's strong.
And they don't do that very often. They don't redesign. They don't do full redesigns of characters too often on this show. It's pretty adherent to classic comics, but this is an instance where they made a choice.
I think they made the right choice.
I do too. Worth mentioning that Cap settles his life debt to T'Challa in this episode, where the Dora Milaje are about to kill him, and Cap gets in the middle and says, if you want Man-Ape, that's fine. I'm going to take on everyone else. And basically, now they're eaten. But really badass moment from Black Panther, who, of course, every moment with Black Panther is usually a badass moment, but when he's going after Man-Ape, and he says, I'm not the same man as my father, M'Baku, for my rage is greater, and then he just beats the crap out of Man-Ape.
Yeah, which I feel like Black Panther says this line in before, right? That his anger is more than his father. Has he
in this show?
Yeah.
Probably.
And Man-Ape uses the same sonic device from Claw, which he points out here, on Black Panther, which is essentially how he beat his father for the throne. He pulls it out here, but it's not enough.
Doesn't work as well on this Black Panther.
No, he beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, and then T'Challa is the king, and meanwhile Iron Man in a kind of strange, goofy sequence hollows out some vibranium and traps Claw inside a stalactite of vibranium.
We had to do something silly with the sound device.
Yeah.
The sound monster.
I mean, it solved the problem. It was great. And then at the very end, T'Challa cedes power to a council and kind of makes it a democratic republic instead of a monarchy. And he says, now that we're going to be part of the world, I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to join the Avengers, and kind of asked to be an Avenger.
It's this official joining the team moment, and it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, and going back to your comment about Jan, I mean, she has a great little moment where she's like, he's also our ride home, so we should probably just say yes. But then we get this little epilogue, and it cuts to the cube, and it's these Hulkbusters approaching the cube, and out of the shadows, in a very kind of horror movie moment, Abomination's hand snatches these Hulkbuster agents out and pulls them into the shadows. And then we see a green dome start covering the area around the cube. And then it cuts to the credits.
Right. Then that'll be our next episode, Gamma World Part 1.
Yeah, another two-parter is approaching. But as a standalone episode, which is essentially what this was for the most part, what did you think overall?
I really like this one. I mean, there was a lot of great moments. I feel like Tony is still unlikable to me for some reason. They try to do the Robert Downey Jr. humor, but it just doesn't quite.
It comes
land.
off as mean.
Yeah,
it comes off as mean.
It doesn't quite land. They don't show enough of Tony's humanity.
The charm that you get from a live action actor delivering a line like that, where you can kind of tell he's just kind of being a jerk, but like it's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like he's punching down a lot, and he just seems kind of insufferable. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
he's my least favorite character of the roster so far.
I like that we had a fun little one-off adventure in Wakanda. And, you know, and Claw's there, and Man-Ape. You know, I really like this episode. I don't have anything bad, and I love how it tied back with the mythology we set up of Wakanda and stuff. This was a strong episode. Absolutely. I would put this up with 4.
Yeah,
as far as, 4. Like, my enjoyment of it too. I liked Cap's line about the science fiction. This plane is science fiction. There's a lot of good moments.
Claw's a great villain.
Yes.
Anytime you have Mark Hamill in an episode, it's hard not to say it's a great episode.
I know. I had a lot of fun with it.
But I agree. I'm finding in our coverage, I love Wakanda.
Yeah, really whenever it's brought up.
Anytime I'm visiting Wakanda, I really enjoy it, and this is no different.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. Well, any final thoughts before we close this section of the podcast out?
I don't have anything else for this.
Okay, well then y'all can stick around, because after the break, we're going to talk more Black Panther in the comics.
Hello, welcome back to Issues with Cartoons. We are now in our comic books segment where we'll be talking about The Avengers, issue 52, the first appearance of the Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper, and also the first time that T'Challa the Black Panther appears in the Avengers book seeking membership, which is obviously a notable tie-in to this episode that we've watched. And the creative team should sound familiar to people who heard our discussion about Man-Ape in the previous portion. This is Roy Thomas as writer, John Buscema as the artist. Vince Colletta and Sam Rosen are also on inking and lettering duties, respectively. And, of course, Stan Lee has to have his name on there as the editor. Roy Thomas... Carl, are you very familiar with Roy Thomas as a figure in the Marvel Comics history?
I mean, outside of just being a writer for a lot of these great characters and a creator, not really. I haven't read much into his outside life, I guess.
So he was sort of the heir apparent to Stan Lee. A lot of the books that Stan wrote that he would then leave, he would give to Roy in a lot of cases. He ended up taking over X-Men. He took over, I think... he either took over Spider-Man or maybe that was that Jerry Conway later. I don't know who took over Spider-Man immediately after Stan Lee left, but Fantastic Four was Roy Thomas. Roy Thomas did a lot at Marvel around the late 60s. He was sort of the one of the first kind of fans turned creators of Marvel.
Which happens a lot. I mean, that's kind of how Chris Claremont came in.
Exactly.
He was just desperate to get a job in college, and I think he was taking theater, or he was studying that.
I think you're right.
He wrote in the Marvel, and Marvel wasn't. He says in the Comic Book Greats interview with Stan Lee that they weren't paying Claremont anything when he started.
Right, because he was just like an assistant or an intern.
Yeah.
So Thomas was he had kind of gotten attention for creating a fanzine alter ego, which I think he still does. I could be wrong.
Really?
I think there's still some alter ego stuff that he does.
Interesting.
But actually, I have the publications here. It was... Oh, never mind. I don't know if it's still continuing. But regardless, it went on for... It was its own magazine in 1999, but it's no longer being published now. Regardless, it was a fanzine that I guess was pretty popular at the time, and he also regularly wrote into letters pages for DC and Marvel Comics. And then he got a job first for Mort Weisinger at DC, and then he ended up moving over to Marvel, working for Stan Lee, and was kind of the guy who would take over a lot of the books after Stan got too busy writing. And very prolific, very accomplished, had a ton of co-creator credits, including, I'm just going to list a bunch of names now: Vision, Doc Samson, Carol Danvers, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Ultron, Yellow Jacket, The Defenders, Man-Thing, Red Sonja, Morbius, Ghost Rider, Squadron Supreme, Invaders, Black Panther, Nighthawk, Havoc, Banshee, Sunfire, Thundra, Archon, Killraven, Quasar, Red Wolf, Red Guardian, Damon Hellstrom, and Valkyrie, and that's just what they list on this Wikipedia page. I'm confident that it doesn't say Manape, it doesn't mention Manape, Grim Reaper, tons of characters that Roy Thomas involved himself in. Pretty famous for having a lot to do with Conan the Barbarian in comics, the JSA, the All-Star Squadron, created the Invaders.
He's done a lot. I mean, I was joking before the show, like, it's almost like he's made a 16th of the Marvel Universe, you know, like, a lot of them are his characters. Yeah, and a lot of them are his characters. It's impressive how much he's done.
Yeah. And then John Buscema, I don't have a ton of notes on him. We're going to talk more about John Buscema throughout our coverage, so I'll look up more for another time, but similar to how Roy took over a lot for Stan, I feel like John Buscema did a lot after Kirby would leave a book. Like, I know he was he was the artist on Thor, I think, after Kirby left. I think he was the artist on the Fantastic Four after Kirby left. Did a distinct run on the Avengers, and then worked again with Roy Thomas on Conan for a long time. So, but how to draw comics the Marvel way is forever his legacy that I'll know him for. And reading this issue, I felt like I was seeing panels out of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. They weren't those same panels, but you just feel that same kind of vibe from his compositions and his character drawings.
It was very much like the Marvel House style. You know, like John Buscema is modeled after Kirby, and then from that you get your Jim Sterankos, and then after that, though, you get some people that kind of break out of the style a little bit, like your Bill Sienkiewicz and stuff. But John Buscema is very much in that mold of, you know, let's keep it like Jack Kirby, let's keep it like John Romita.
Yeah. This issue was published in 1968 and opens with a splash of the Black Panther, who we see on the cover with a mask that we hadn't seen in our coverage at this point, where it's kind of a half mask that kind of exposes part of his face.
It's like Batman. It
does look like Batman. I'm reading some notes here that he actually, he wore a complete mask in Captain America 100, which was when he was last shown. So this would be his first time wearing this mask, at least in print. But I was telling Carl off air that my understanding is for Fantastic Four issue 52. Oh, interesting. Fantastic Four 52 was the first Black Panther. 52. Avengers 52 is his first time in the... Anyway.
Cool synergy there.
Yeah, that's great. I bet that was on purpose. But originally when Kirby drew Black Panther, his original intention was to draw him with a half mask. And for reasons we can probably speculate on, they changed it to a full mask, which was the dominating look up until this point. And then thereafter, I don't think the half mask lasted very long because...
So essentially, this is Kirby's original design, you said? Was this
seems to
mask?
Be.
Yeah, and this is the first time it's appeared.
Yeah, that, again, my understanding. And contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com if you
let us know
differently. But
you'll get a no prize.
You'll get a no prize. Literally, you will get no prize. But I will smile when I see you correct me.
And the no prize is no prize, but I will present it to you.
Yeah,
I will give you that no prize.
0 prizes we will present, but yes. Anyway, just interesting. Another interesting thing is they don't call him the Black Panther at all. They call him the Panther. And I do wonder how much of that is the confusion and conflation between the political party and the comic book character, and if they were trying to separate themselves from that at all. But unless I'm mistaken, throughout this whole comic, he is just called the Panther.
We get a reference to that Captain America appearance in the first panel.
Yeah. So the setup here is that Black Panther's arrived at Avengers Mansion because he had scheduled a visit, and he's looking for the Avengers, and he's expecting to be greeted by them, but instead he's met with a bunch of booby traps and defense measures that are kind of going after him. So he's having to, in a sequence that, again, just reminds me of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. He's kind of navigating through Avengers Tower, Avengers Mansion.
Yeah, and there's Kirby tech.
Lots of Kirby tech.
Everywhere. None of this stuff makes us... It looks like Dexter's Lab.
It's... Oh, man, I love that. Another Gendy Tartakovsky reference for our episode. Yeah, and, I love John Buscema. I love his figure work.
It looks
I like
great.
His composition.
It's a solid page.
It really is.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And he obviously had to learn the Kirby style of doing things, so you do get a lot of that Kirby dynamism.
Oh, and all these page layouts are Kirby layouts. Like on page 3, the 4-panel one.
That 4-panel one is very Kirby.
For the Tales of Asgard, that whole backup strip is this 4-panel grid. So it's like calling back to all this like classic Kirby layouts we've seen too.
Yep. Oh man, that close-up at the bottom of that page.
That looks good.
Really good looking.
I don't know if Kirby would have done something like that.
That's kind of what I was wondering, and I feel like that's a good distinction between the two storytellers, because I don't know that Kirby would have done that on a panel that big.
It's very detailed. It's like a extreme close up of the eyes. And I love this whole sequence though of like he's crawling through the Avengers defenses and he's walking down this tube and it's fun. I think it's cool.
And that figure work, and I think I mentioned this the last time we read a book with Black Panther in it. The lined gloves, I love it. And it seems like such a pain in the butt to do.
Yeah, it looks good.
But it looks great as a visual way to distinguish the hands from the bodysuit. And as a storytelling thing, at the very end of page 3, the last panel, you get this close-up where he says, "It's unbelievable!" And then you are just drawn in, and you need to turn the page. What's unbelievable? Answer, the Avengers dead.
And he's not afraid to draw feet. Look at those feet.
Nope. All the feet. Yep.
Close up there.
Yeah. Some people should draw more feet.
Yeah.
Anyway. I like that you said that. So he's trying to figure out what's wrong, but wrong place, wrong time. Jasper Sitwell, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., has him cornered. Fun trivia that I learned reading Tom Scioli's biography on Jack Kirby, which I'm also going to mention whenever I can. Jasper Sitwell was Kirby inspired by Roy Thomas.
Okay.
So he met Roy Thomas, who was just this kind of like yes man, like very kind of, I don't know, nerdy guy. And Kirby's like, I want to make you a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and his name's going to be Jasper Sitwell. So it's just funny that Roy Thomas is writing Jasper Sitwell in a comic. So anyway, Panther is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Sitwell thinks he is the murderer of the Avengers, which kind of starts this whole murder mystery plot in a superhero comic. And they who is this? This is the police.
The police kind of burst in.
Police burst in and kind of take over the scene, and they take Panther away with his hands up, and then while they're carting the Avengers off, we get a Black Widow appearance. Did you know that was Black Widow?
I had no idea.
I'm almost 100% sure.
Are you talking about page 6?
I'm talking about page 6.
Is that the retcon?
No, I don't think so. I think that's Black Widow. I don't know who this Natasha is, but she has had Avengers.
There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely Natasha.
Yeah, and she's crying into Jasper Sitwell's shoulder, which really feels like Roy Thomas is doing a self-insert there. Yeah, I think that's all we see of her in this episode, in this issue.
Just a quick little cameo.
Yeah. So the news is out, the Avengers are dead, and we get a little cutaway to all the other Avengers who are working on various things. Tony is in his lab and is shocked to the core. And Captain America was in the middle of stopping these petty thugs when he hears the news on the radio.
Fighting some street gangs.
Yeah, that one dude's laid up with his legs on the wall there. And then Thor got a hold of a special bulletin of the newspaper.
And he's grieving.
And is grieving on the wall over there. But however, somewhere in the stunned city, one voice there is which is raised in exultant triumph, is the Grim Reaper. And here we are introduced to a villain who we've been seeing throughout the cartoon, but we meet here for the first time. I actually love that it just so happens that this is the comic we're reading not long after having covered the Wonder Man comic. Because we'll find later that they are connected, those two issues.
Right, they're brothers.
Yeah. And I like that just by chance, without any planning from either of us, this is one of the very next issues we read. His motivation is not very clear at first, just that he is plotting against the Avengers and wants revenge for some wrong. And he's got this ridiculous costume.
He's part Green Goblin. He's part armored Kirby villain.
It's a mess.
Ant-Man's helmet. You know, it's crazy. And in page 8, he's even flying a glider similar to Green Goblin. That's why I said Green Goblin.
No, in the green kind of scaly arms.
It's I don't know if all the elements of his costume jive well together.
And
that's my biggest.
I wonder if this is, and I'll have to go back and see what characters John Buscema is in charge of designing, because I believe my understanding of John Buscema, he was much more interested in doing books like Conan the Barbarian and doing more fantasy or other genres besides superheroes. He was obviously a very gifted superhero artist, but I think his enthusiasm might have been in other genres. And I don't know how his character design, and it's hard when the other point of reference is guys like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, who are two of the greatest character designers in comic history. But
in terms of Marvel, certainly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, made all those Marvel characters.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. You look at some of their DC output, and their character designs on those were also incredible.
Right.
But John Buscema, I don't know if he gets talked about in the same way. Now, he did have, thinking about, I think he co-created the Vision, and he co-created, I think, Ultron. So he's had other strong designs, but this might not be counted as one of them. Then again, maybe he just saw the Wonder Man design and was like, oh, well, if this is Wonder Man's brother, I better not make him look too good. Because obviously those character designs are pretty weak.
Little bit obscure. Is someone that read a bunch of TMNT comics and a bunch of X-Men comics, and I'm kind of learning a lot of this Avengers lore for the first time with Kyle here on this show. I don't feel like your regular MCU fan knows Grim Reaper.
Certainly.
He's a D-list character.
Oh,
C-list.
Generous. Very generous.
Generous to say D-list.
Although, I don't know. I'm sure with the Wonder Man TV show forthcoming, there may be
that was coming out.
A lot. Most people, I think, have. I have not heard much about it other than the casting.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm sure Eric Williams is casted in the show. I don't know to what extent he will be Grim Reaper. I'm sure if he is in the show, he will look nothing like this. So it flashes back to him attacking. You mentioned him being on this glider. He attacks the Avengers. He uses his scythe to defeat them.
It's Giant Man.
Worth noting, Giant Man renamed Goliath at this point.
That's right.
Worth noting, once again, he gets handled pretty quickly.
I want to bring up on page 9, there's a Beatles reference. He's like, you were expecting me to be Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
Oh, funny.
That really dated it. I mean, that's off the Sgt. Pepper and Lonely Hearts Club Band concept album from the Beatles.
I acknowledge Roy Thomas's...
Popular.
Yeah, sure. Oh, sure. And, I'm not saying that Stan wouldn't have done that. I will just
Definitely
say...
He's a fan.
Roy Thomas as a... it's unquestionable his contribution to comics. I'll acknowledge that. I do often feel he is very much trying to be Stan Lee in a lot of the writing that he does, just in the way he does dialogue especially. I feel like he is trying to capture that same kind of, those Lee-isms in the pop culture references and then the quips and the jokes. A lot of it does feel like you can tell he is a student of Stan Lee.
A ton of adjectives, and that single moment of hesitation is all I need to escape your overrated grasp.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? That's like Stan Lee wrote that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Can I deviate real quick?
That's fine.
Since we're talking about Roy Thomas, I have to mention my other favorite, not at all Roy Thomas, but sort of Roy Thomas reference is in The Fourth World by Jack Kirby.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Funky Flashman?
Yeah, I've seen the character.
So Funky Flashman, you're familiar with Funky Flashman and who Funky Flashman is a riff on. It was his critique of Stan Lee.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and that all ties in. Yeah.
And it's a vicious takedown of Stan Lee and a very unflattering portrayal of the caricature that is Stan Lee.
Yeah, it's definitely a parody.
But in the Fourth World books, in the New Gods books, I think it's New Gods, it could be Mr. Miracle, regardless. The Fourth World library books, Funky Flashman is featured. And in those issues, Funky has a little flunky. He has a little sidekick who's just this sniveling kind of butt kisser, and his name is House Roy, and is Jack's critique of Roy Thomas.
You can see how Jack Kirby felt about Roy Thomas.
Yeah, and
that. Yeah,
and it's just interesting because especially if we're saying Jasper Sitwell is his kind of basing his inspiration from Roy Thomas back when things were good at Marvel. To then, when he leaves Marvel, how he sees Roy Thomas afterwards. Because Roy was definitely a company man at Marvel for a long time, before things soured there and then he moved to DC. But anyway, back to the comic. So after he dispatches the Avengers, I'm just moving kind of quickly here, they have a fight scene. He has a kind of whirly-bird feature on his scythe that he's able to spin it around really, really fast.
It's like the penguin.
It's like the penguin.
It's like when the penguin flies in Batman Returns. He but he could do that with his scythe. He just throws the scythe in the air and it gives him flight.
I hope they do that on the TV show, on the Wonder Man show. They better.
Hopefully, they better.
They better.
Otherwise, I'm canceling Disney Plus.
Yeah, for sure. So he subdues them, seemingly kills them. Including Wasp, who her final thought is to grow larger so that people can find her, which I thought was just so sad. And he is the embodiment of death, and I struck in the name of just vengeance. And that's when we flash back to the scenes from issue 9 of the Avengers from 1964, I guess. Which would have been 4 years before this issue was published.
Or Wonder Man dies, which we just covered.
Yeah.
I mean, we just covered this issue.
Yeah, and he has a kind of a skewed version of events because he says that he was poisoned and the Avengers stood by and let him die. Now, we know that he wasn't poisoned, he just didn't get the antidote to his powers which were killing him. And the Avengers didn't even know that was what was happening. So he has kind of a unreliable narrator view of the events that happened, but we find out that he's his brother, and Black Panther makes a break for it. We cut away back to him in the police department, and he breaks out of prison, or breaks out of custody. I love the sequence where he crashes through the window again in that big 4-panel page. So dramatic.
It tells a lot with a single image.
Yeah.
He's smashing the window and he's putting his mask on.
And that shot on page 13 in the top right.
Oh, the good lighting on there.
Amazing lighting.
It's cool. You don't even see lighting that good in modern comics.
You don't.
It's solid.
And shout out to Buscema for composing it.
Buscema's amazing.
Colletta for rendering the ink. I'll give Colletta some props, which we're not often want to do.
I draw Buscema's perspective grid during some of my classes.
Oh, do you?
I'll talk about perspective and 1 point and stuff, and I have a project where I do foreground, middle ground, background, but that's one of the things I do that people are like where'd you learn that? And I'm like, it's from John Buscema's How to Draw Comics and Marvel.
Yeah. That was, as a kid, the chapter I always skipped. I think you can tell when you read my stuff now that that's the chapter I skipped.
I had to revisit that stuff.
I should take your class. Interesting also that Panther's boot breaks the panel barrier in that middle panel where he's leaping. Again, in a very dynamic shot. So yeah, shouts to John Buscema, shouts to Vince Colletta, and then whoever colored this, that yellow on the Panther's body, highlighting those from those shots being fired, really good.
Yeah, 14 on page 14. That bottom left panel. I don't think Kirby would draw something like that. Like this undershot.
From above,
yeah, it's a really cool perspective.
Really good Black Panther shot, like where he's just kind of that feline, kind of angular, like coming from above sort of thing.
Like, did he take his own photo for that? It's
really
great.
Question.
Yeah, I really like it.
John Buscema was such a. I think we described him before as Kirby with anatomy.
Yeah,
and I think, and not to say that Kirby can do anatomy, but he was very much an expressionist. He just kind of gave you the idea of anatomy. And I feel like John Buscema actually tried to, he rendered back muscles, and he did, the musculature really well, and he knew the human form really well.
Oh, he does.
So, it wouldn't surprise me either way if he took a photo reference, or if he just knew the angle,
where the shadows,
how that was
stuff,
which is just the kind of thinking that I envy so much as an artist.
Kirby was drawing 3 to 4 books at a time. I think a lot of you call Kirby an expressionist was just, he's like, I got to get this book
done. It's a function of
like John Romita Jr. says about deadlines.
Deadline style, baby.
I have deadline style. Yeah, my style is just me trying to get this book out on time.
You know why you and I are friends is you and I had the same thought, and I'm so glad you said deadline style, because that's exactly what that makes me think of.
Yeah. Just gotta push this book out.
Yeah, we just got we got kids to feed, baby. I make a page rate,
right?
So anyway, Black Panther kicks Grim Reaper's butt. In a really great action sequence. I mean, Black Panther continues. I love that he looks like Batman here, because he continually shows me that he is one of the better Marvel Batmen. I mean, I don't know if that's how he was conceived, but in practice and function, he is very much like the dark, badass figure from the shadows who he'll just get it done.
Look at this panel on page 16 where Grim Reaper shoots his shoulder and his costume rips. That's really dramatic.
And I love that. I made that note to myself when I was reading it. That's such a good shot. The best that Grim Reaper costume has looked, and in a really great action shot with those action lines, that expression, those hands, the way he's got the hands contorted.
You have a hand in the foreground, and where he's damaged is the foreground, and his head is
a real good shot,
almost in the middle ground, and then Grim Reaper's in your background.
And I was gonna say that head is just kind of pushing the limits of anatomy there.
It is, but it looks great.
But it reads well, and it gives you that expression, that pained expression, where you almost don't even need that kind of clunky placed dialogue bubble where that you kind of have a tangent with the scythe there, but you almost don't need that to kind of get the pain of that hit. Really well made, really well done. I like that call out.
Yeah, it's fun.
And this fight lasts a good long while, and especially seeing how short relatively the fight was with Goliath, Wasp, and Hawkeye earlier.
It's crazy. It feels like a lot happens, but it's only 3 or 4 pages. And
I feel like that about all these old comics we read, man. They pack so much.
They're dense. They're like little novellas.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say this 4-panel grid that I was talking about earlier is the fight scene. It's only 4 panels per page, but it feels long.
Yeah, and honestly, that page 16 we just talked about is one of the rare 3-panel pages.
Right.
But the rest of it, you're right, is a 4-panel page. Oh man, look at that shot on page 17. I probably
the silhouette shot in the bottom
with
left,
the hand in the foreground.
With the hand, Wally would be proud, because that's a great, that's a great silhouette shot of these two combatants, you know, and there's kind of just a hand in the foreground. So Black Panther defeats Grim Reaper and takes his scythe.
No, just kind of really dominant move. Like, yeah. Really like, kind of an assertive move.
You know what? I'm taking your weapon, too.
I'm taking this. Well, but it's a story reason because we find out the Avengers aren't dead. That they are just... their vitals were slowed down. Classic trope in...
Comic book logic. Just insane, like... Star Trek level, like just
slow your functions down to where just you appear dead. I wonder you know, you had him, Eric. You had him. You could have just killed him. Why? I'm not clear on why he didn't just kill them. But you know, then the story would.
He fumbled.
Then the story would end. Yeah. So he takes the scythe to break into the morgue, I guess.
Yeah, he's got to fight the police then, too.
He's like, you know, they probably think I'm there to finish the job. And so he breaks in, he touches them with the scythe, and they're immediately revived. And Hawkeye is very quick to pull out the bow and arrow that they must have let his dead body keep.
Okay. There's some storytelling stuff going on here in 19, because it's like... You literally the first panel.
The gutters are doing a lot of work.
The Black Panther, the space between panels is telling a lot of the story. So like Black Panther like taps the magic wand.
Right.
The Avengers.
Look how long that
we don't even get. This is my issue. We don't get a shot of Hawkeye standing up. It's just Hawkeye's revived. We are told that or shown that very quickly. And then immediately, next panel, arrows are in the police officer.
Like, look at that! That arrow split the barrel of that pistol.
I love that panel, though. It's ridiculous, but like you need a shot of Hawkeye standing up. Like it immediately just cuts to arrows flying. But I guess you could figure it out. Like you said, the panels.
It's all in the stories in the mind. It's very Scott McCloud. I just want to know what these arrows are made of that can split open the metal barrel of a revolver.
It's vibranium.
It must be vibranium. That's why Black Panther.
Black Panther
restocking
loaned him some Wakandan arrows, and he's splitting guns in half.
Either that or that gun's made of cardboard. I don't know. So they patch Black Panther up. He's got a sling now, and just I kind of love that he's just kind of this battered and beaten up superhero, but he's still like there to fight. But he goes back to where he left Grim Reaper, and he's gone. And he just kind of says, you know, I had shown up to talk with you guys. I heard that, you know, Hercules, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch are also supposed to be here, but I guess all these Avengers have either left or have gone missing. We're not privy to what's been going on in the book up to this point, but Black Panther's there, and he wants to be a part of the Avengers, and
a lot of 4-panel grids on this comic.
Yeah. And they and get it all done quickly, and they invite him to join.
Yeah, the last two are just like welcome to the Avengers, like our episode we talked about. Yeah, Black Panther is joining the Avengers. Is very much, you know, a giant man's putting his hand on Black Panther's shoulder. Welcome to the team, bud.
So again, just kind of to contrast, like you have two kind of versions of Black Panther being introduced into a book, meeting a team. And in the Avengers book, it was very, very different than the circumstances where he meets the Fantastic Four. And they ended up finding the Fantastic Four story stronger, and they utilized that. Although it is kind of interesting, they do incorporate the Grim Reaper into the Earth's Mightiest Heroes episode. And he's featured in the first...
Yost must have a soft spot for that character. For as much as his comic counterpart, I don't feel like is as strong as Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I do prefer the Earth's Mightiest Heroes version feels very much like the Darth Vader of Hydra.
Like he's presented as a big boss.
Yeah, he's kind of like the heavy, right?
Yeah.
But you know, he also is featured in this issue where Black Panther joins and they find a way to weave him into where Black Panther joins in the cartoon. But other than those two parallels, everything else is Fantastic Four 52 and 53 from the cartoon.
Overall, what did you think of this issue? What are you, like... What are your thoughts on that?
I really liked Black Panther. I liked his portrayal. Grim Reaper. I like the motivation of Grim Reaper. That's about all I liked about Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
The design I found
we ripped on it quite a bit.
I found the plot, his plot to defeat the Avengers, like make them basically
so convoluted.
Very convoluted. I didn't love it. But I love the action sequences. I love Buscema's figure work.
Yeah.
His compositions. I adore that artist. And it's a lot of it is nostalgia just because of how to draw comics the Marvel way. But I mean the work speaks for itself. It's very strong.
We get a little tease in 53, Avengers versus X-Men.
The Extraordinary X-Men. How come they went with Uncanny X-Men instead of Extraordinary
There was an Extraordinary X-Men title for a little bit.
Was there? I've never heard of that.
And X-Men was Uncanny X-Men for a really long time before you just got X-Men as a title.
Adjectiveless
X-Men. Yeah, they did use... was it Roberto Ramos on Extraordinary? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
To me, it makes more sense to me than Uncanny, but, I think Uncanny X-Men... This is not an Uncanny X-Men podcast. I'm just saying, Extraordinary X-Men... It could be. It will be someday, probably. It works very well as an adjective for X-Men.
Yeah.
So it's true. But yeah, in the next issue, it's going to be... You see them fighting on the cover, and it's the founding lineup with their I think it's the Jean Grey design costumes, right?
It's the second gen. Yeah. So it's not like the OG5 costumes. It's the costumes right after that. So Beast
the green mini skirt. Yeah, the yellow mask.
Beast's got a little bit of his red. You're talking about Jean Grey's like what she wears in Krakoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has the green and the...
People knock on that costume. I love that costume.
I'm a big fan of
that costume. I love that costume. I know. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like a 60s go-go girl with a yellow mask, and I just think it looks cool.
It looks great.
But
there's a reason they went back to
It's also a really good Scott Summers design that held on for a long time.
Oh, yeah. That
I had an action figure.
Costume.
I had an action figure of that costume. It's one of the rare X-Men action figures I had growing up.
That was
the blue skull cat.
That was a costume we had, during the Phoenix Saga.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of the only ones from this generation of costumes that... Anyway, this could be an X-Men podcast, people. Eventually, we'll cover an X-Men cartoon, and we'll have issues with those cartoons, and there'll be X-Men issues.
Let us know what X-Men content you want us to cover. How about that? And we'll leave it at that.
Great. I would love that. All right, speaking of which, contact at IssuesWithCartoons.com. For any comments, questions, concerns, if you have a concern, or recommendations, or
you're angry at
my comments. Listen, I'm concerned all the time about stuff that I say, but maybe you're concerned too.
You're right to be concerned about me.
You're right to be concerned. Anyway,
that's justified.
Justified. We validate your concerns. We're also on Instagram and Twitter for now. And we're also on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, share, please. Comment, please. We want this to be a community. We want this to grow. Also, we just recommend, if you're able to, get Marvel Unlimited and Disney Plus and watch along with us and read along with us. A lot of this is us talking through the books and recapping the episodes. We hope that you're watching and reading along with us.
That's how we're doing this, basically. Yeah, we're visiting these issues on our iPads, and we're making notes.
We'd love for you to do it along with us. You can go check out my stuff at kofi.com/kylewindle. Check out my comics and solicit me for commissions if that's to your liking. Carl?
You can find me at www.carllucasdraws.com, which I've dropped before in previous episodes. Right now, I'm drawing a sequel to Shogun Bear.
Yes.
It's called Shogun Bear Fights All Monsters. I'm in the midst of it. It's going to be like a 100-page graphic novel.
Is it going to be 100 pages?
Yeah, I think it's close. I don't know.
If it's not 100 pages, you need to make it 100 pages.
Yeah, just because I'm inking it right now. I'm excited about it, and I'll share more details when that drops. But
monster-sized, Carl.
Monster-sized issue.
I love that. I've seen pages. It looks so good. I'm so excited to read the whole thing. All right. Well, that's all I have, Carl. Folks, thanks for tuning in, and you can tune in next time.
Bye.
Bye.